It landed with a soft thud, barely disturbing the stillness of the night. Not a crash, not a bang, but a gentle settling, as if the earth itself had been expecting it. Like a feather finding its way to rest on the earth, it seemed almost natural, almost serene. But this was no feather. This was something far more extraordinary, something that defied the ordinary. This was an alien being, sent from a distant star system, landing in the heart of London. Its mission? Infiltration, to blend in, to observe, to understand, its disguise, a perfectly ordinary human form, meticulously crafted to avoid suspicion. The alien, now disguised as a young woman named Anya, stepped out into the bustling city, her senses bombarded by the unfamiliar. The air was thick with the scent of exhaust fumes and rain-soaked pavement, a stark contrast to the sterile, controlled environment of her home planet. It was overwhelming, this sensory overload, so different from the sterile, controlled environment of its home planet. Every sound, every smell, every sight was a new experience, a new challenge. Yet, there was a strange allure to it, a chaotic symphony that Anya found herself inexplicably drawn to. The city was alive, pulsating with energy and life. Anya had studied human behavior, poring over countless hours of footage, analyzing their every move, every inflection. She had prepared for this moment meticulously. She knew their customs, their mannerisms, their intricate social dances. She had memorized their languages, their expressions, their gestures. But nothing could have truly prepared her for the sheer, unfiltered reality of it all. The raw, unedited version of human life was far more complex and nuanced than any data could convey. The way a group of teenagers laughed, their joy echoing off the brick walls, was a sound she had never encountered before. It was pure, unrestrained, and infectious. The way an elderly couple held hands, their wrinkled fingers intertwined, a silent testament to a lifetime spent together, spoke volumes about human connection and love. These were the nuances, the unspoken truths that no amount of data could ever truly capture. The essence of humanity was in these small, fleeting moments. As Anya navigated the crowded streets, blending seamlessly into the throng of people, a single thought echoed in the silent chambers of her alien mind. This mission, this charade, it was going to be far more complicated than she had ever anticipated. The complexity of human emotions, the unpredictability of their actions, and the depth of their connections were beyond anything she had imagined. She realized that to truly understand humans, she would have to immerse herself completely, to live as one of them, to feel as they do. This was not just a mission of observation, but one of experience and empathy. Anya took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her task. She was a stranger in a familiar skin, navigating a world that was both alien and captivating. The journey ahead was uncertain, but she was determined to see it through, to uncover the mysteries of the human heart. Survival depended on blending in. In a world where standing out could mean the difference between life and death, Anya had no choice but to become invisible. She had to master the art of disappearing in plain sight, of becoming just another face in the crowd. Anya became a student of the mundane. She immersed herself in the ordinary, the everyday activities that most people took for granted. She spent hours in libraries, parks, and classrooms, observing the nuances of human behavior, the little things that made people tick. She mastered the art of small talk, the subtle art of nodding at the right time, of laughing when laughter was expected. She learned to engage in conversations about trivial matters, to discuss the latest gossip, to share in the collective experience of being human. She learned to queue for her morning coffee, to complain about the weather, to lose herself in the mindless scroll of a mobile phone screen. These were the rituals of daily life, the small acts that connected her to the world around her. She observed. She imitated. She became a keen student of human behavior, watching the way people interacted, the way they moved, the way they spoke. She took mental notes, cataloging every detail, every gesture, every expression. She became a mirror, reflecting back the behaviors of those around her. She learned to mimic their actions, to mirror their body language, to blend in seamlessly with her surroundings. It was a skill that required constant practice, constant vigilance. She perfected the slight hesitation before speaking, the way humans used their hands to punctuate their words, the fleeting micro-expressions that flickered across their faces in a rapid-fire display of emotions. She learned to read these signals, to interpret their meanings, to respond in kind. Her apartment, a small, nondescript flat in a building populated by students and young professionals, became her sanctuary. It was a place where she could retreat from the world, where she could let down her guard, where she could be herself. It was here, in the quiet solitude of her temporary home, that Anya would shed the carefully constructed layers of her human disguise. She would take off the mask she wore in public, revealing the true self that lay beneath. She would analyze the day's interactions, reviewing conversations, replaying encounters, searching for any telltale signs that might betray her true nature. She would write in her journal, documenting her observations, her thoughts, her fears. At times, the effort of it all felt suffocating. The constant need to be on guard, to be vigilant, to maintain the facade, was exhausting. It took a toll on her, both physically and mentally. The constant vigilance, the fear of slipping up, the ever-present knowledge that her very existence was a carefully crafted lie. It was a heavy burden to bear, a weight that pressed down on her shoulders, a constant reminder of the precariousness of her situation. It was exhausting, this performance of humanity. The need to be perfect, to be flawless, to never make a mistake, was draining. It left her feeling weary, worn out, and at times utterly defeated. And yet with each passing day, Anya found herself becoming increasingly entangled in the very fabric of the life she was supposed to be merely observing. She found herself forming connections, building relationships, becoming a part of the community. It was a paradox, a contradiction, but it was also her reality. The more she tried to blend in, the more she found herself truly living. The longer Anya lived among humans, the more she realized how much they communicated without ever uttering a word. A raised eyebrow, a tilt of the head, the way they shifted their weight from one foot to the other, it all meant something. She witnessed a lover's quarrel in a park. No harsh words were exchanged, but the icy silence, the way they avoided each other's gaze, spoke volumes. Anya, despite her advanced knowledge of human language, felt lost. It was like watching a play in a language she didn't understand, the emotional undercurrents swirling beneath the surface, hidden from her alien perception. There was a profound loneliness in this realization. Anya could mimic their words, their laughter, even their tears. But she could never truly replicate the depth of their unspoken connections, the shared history, the invisible threads that bound them together. She was an outsider looking in, a spectator to the intricate dance of human interaction. And as the days turned into weeks, the weight of her isolation pressed down on her with increasing intensity. It happened unexpectedly, in the most ordinary of settings, the kind of place where people go about their daily routines, often without a second thought. Anya was at the local corner shop, picking up some groceries. It was a small, unassuming place, but it had everything she needed. The elderly shopkeeper, a kind-faced woman with a warm smile, complimented her scarf. Her eyes twinkled with a genuine warmth that was hard to find in the bustling city. "It's lovely, dearie," she said, her voice raspy with age but filled with kindness. It was a simple compliment, but it carried a weight of sincerity. "You have a good eye," she added, her smile widening as she admired the colorful fabric. Anya, caught off guard by the unexpected kindness, found herself responding with genuine warmth. It was a rare moment of connection in her otherwise solitary life. She told the shopkeeper about the little market stall where she had found it, the vibrant colors that had caught her eye, the way the colors had reminded her of the sunset, a beautiful blend of oranges, pinks, and purples that painted the sky. They chatted for a few minutes, about nothing in particular, yet everything that mattered in that moment. And yet, for the first time since her arrival in the city, Anya felt seen. It was as if the shopkeeper had looked past the surface and recognized something deeper within her. It wasn't just the words they exchanged, but the easy camaraderie, the sense of mutual understanding that seemed to flow effortlessly between them. The unspoken understanding that seemed to flow between them was comforting. It was as if they had known each other for years, even though they had just met. In that brief encounter, Anya glimpsed the possibility of genuine connection, something she had been yearning for since she moved to the city. A connection that transcended language, that spoke to the heart without the need for words. It went beyond the superficial masks they both wore, revealing a deeper, more authentic part of themselves. As Anya left the shop, she felt a lightness in her step, a small but significant shift in her outlook. The warmth of the encounter lingered in the air, a fragile flicker of hope that brightened her day. It was a fragile flicker of hope in the face of her growing isolation, a reminder that even in the most ordinary of settings, extraordinary connections can be found.